Thank you for listening to this Podcast One production. Now available on Apple Podcasts, Podcast One, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You've made it through another week. Congratulations. Your prize for getting here with us. It's a brand new episode of the best in paranormal talk radio. Darkness Radio is on the air. I'm Dave. That's Tim. This is Darkness Radio, Supernatural News, and ParaShare. We have a special guest joining us, Tim, in a little bit on the program.
It sounded like I got goose there. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
woo.
Yeah. We've got a very special guest. I don't know if you've ever heard of Ace Frehley from the rock band Kiss, Tim.
He's going to be on?
He has had paranormal encounters. We're going to hear about them in just a little bit. So stay tuned for that. That's exciting news. You know what else is exciting news, Tim?
What's that?
Travel Channel has kicked off their interactive quarantine watch parties with the stars of many of their hit paranormal shows. So you can sit back and join the party. Travel Channel presents a series of special quarantine watch parties with your favorite supernatural superstars as they revisit the spookiest moments from their hit series. You can join the fun as paranormal experts sit down to watch and relive their craziest and most nerve-rattling experiences. In these 4 one-hour-long specials, hosted by paranormal investigator, radio show host, author, and star of the Holzer Files, Dave Schrader, Tim. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No.
There's your special guest. I'm right here, Tim.
Oh,
right
you.
here.
Yes, yeah. I've heard of you. Yeah.
After that resume, I figured, let's go for it.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Maybe not. Anyway, these are hosted by me. Then we have stars from, of course, the Holzer Files. That episode just aired this past Thursday, and thank you for the great response, and it was great live tweeting with everybody. Destination Fear is this week, so I sit down with all the kids from Destination Fear, and we go over some of their favorite moments. And I'll tell you, if you guys have not watched Destination Fear, treat yourself. It's a fun show with some creepy elements, and I absolutely love the team. They are just some of the sweetest kids you'll ever get a chance to meet. They really love this stuff, and their reactions are genuine. When you see pure terror and screaming, this is who they are. It's a great show. Then Kindred Spirits. We're going to actually dig deep into a very personal episode of Kindred Spirits with Amy, Adam, and Chip Coffee. So we'll be doing that in 2 weeks. And then finally rounding out our quarantine specials, the Ghost Brothers join me, Tim.
Nice.
For what I will honestly go on to say that was one of the most fun episodes to film.
Very cool.
Those guys are hilarious.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And some of their antics and stories and takes on things, they're just, just some of the most genuinely nice guys. And it was when we first, we do a read through of the episode where we sit down, kind of chat about what episode is going to be played, what clips. All 3 of these guys were so kind to me and just thankful to have me be a part of the program and very complimentary. It was very humbling and sweet. Just nice guys, really good people.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm going to be joined by the casts of each one of those shows. They're going to come together in this kind of virtual video hangout to re-experience, analyze, and then straight up kind of celebrate some of these most shocking and entertaining moments from their popular Travel Channel TV shows. We're going to answer fan questions along the way and reveal new insight and bonus footage. And then each special is really kind of a spooky walk down memory lane. Our special was the Holzer Files Decrypted episode that ran on Thursday, June 11th. I'm sure you can look for Holzer Files Decrypted on your Travel Channel app or on the Travel Channel Go, maybe even on the Travel Channel site itself or on demand. Check that out. Destination Fear Behind the Screams premieres on Thursday, June 18th. That's Thursday, June 18th. And on that episode, we're going to go on a haunted road trip and a terrifying couple of sleepovers with Dakota Layden, Chelsea Layden, Tanner Wiseman, and their camera operator, Alex Schrader. And these are some really fun and, like I said, some really good creepy moments that they encountered. Kindred Spirits Back from the Dead 1 hour special premieres on Thursday, June 25th with Adam Berry, Amy Bruni, Chip Coffey, all in attendance. And then we have a house party, Tim. The Ghost Brothers Haunted House Party 1 hour special premieres Thursday, July 2nd at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. So Dalen Spratt, Juan Mass, and Marcus Harvey are all going to sit down with me and go over the different favorite moments from some of the episodes. I love it. I think it was such a fun time. I even pitched to them afterwards. What we showed wasn't even there was a lot more that we could have reviewed from season 1 of Holzer Files that didn't make it on the air.
Okay.
And I said, and I'd love to have Gabe and Alexandra join me for a follow-up episode because they don't go out in the field with us to investigate. Mm-hmm. Alexandra is so busy with her family and everything she's doing, and Gabe is our researcher going through each one of these files, sifting through, looking for the video, the audio, written notes, trying to find anybody that survives those original hauntings that would want to come forward and talk about them. So he's really busy, but they don't get a chance to jump out in the field with us. So I thought it'd be fun if we kind of reviewed a few of the episodes and they could talk to us about some of the more bizarre moments that they witnessed on the show as well.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping we'll be able to see follow-up specials for these. And I'd love to sit down with the guys from Ghost Nation and Don Wildman and even Josh Gates and Ghost Adventures, Portals to Hell. There's a lot of programs we could still sit down with and take a look.
Most definitely, yeah.
Let's see what other crazy ass stories we've got to investigate here. I've got a couple of really interesting stories that I'm sure is going to excite Tim Dennis. That'll be a little bit later on in the show.
Really?
Yeah. But first, Tim, let's mention we have a phone number people can call. Mm-hmm. People are getting lazy again because the nice weather's out.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And people are, now they're able to stand out in their front yards and marvel at the, freedom that each state is starting to get again. So we need you to call, share your stories with us. I'm getting emailed stories, so I'm going to read those, of course. 651-300-4977. That's the phone number to call. 651-300-4977. Our Voices from Beyond voicemail. That's the number to call. Boy, I don't know, Tim, my allergies are kicking my ass. I love this time of year. Mm-hmm. I love the growth on the trees and the breeze through the leaves and the kids playing in the yard. And I love this part of the year, but not the allergies that come with it.
Yeah, that can be a little tough. I actually went outside and I grilled a piece of meat last night on the barbecue, and
you sound like you're not even sure what type of meat you had. You grilled a chunk of meat. Did you find it roadside?
Yeah, I did. It was unidentified at the time. Oh. I just skinned her up and threw her on, and times are tough, Dave. So you just take whatever you can find and you throw it on the grill. And it was good eating. Did
the allergies get you though?
No, I mean a little bit, but I was a little teary-eyed, but. That could have been just whatever was cooking on the grill too. But yeah,
you like to cut those onions up for your barbecue, so maybe that's what was getting you, Tim.
I do. But yeah, it was getting me a little bit, and if it was getting me a little bit, then the pollen count's a little high. Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, folks, here's a quick question for you. If you have inadvertently caught some weird paranormal phenomena, maybe through your Ring camera at home, maybe your baby monitors have captured something strange and unusual, maybe just out and about filming and noticing something very weird and chilling, then maybe you'd like to share that with a brand new TV show that is going to be reviewing some of these pieces of evidence and seeing if they can get answers or understand what might be taking place with the evidence that you've captured. They are specifically right now looking for video evidence, any kind of moving evidence that captures it. If you have evidence that corroborates it, like you happen to have also caught an EVP on a recorder at the same time, that's great. But whatever you've got, if you are interested, you can email me, dave@darknessradio.com. Email me the video clip, your name, your email address, and phone number. I will forward it on to the producers. Now, let me tell you, we help a lot of these production companies that don't want to go public yet with these programs. So when you send it to us, we forward it to them. We don't make any of the decisions, folks. It's not up to us. I won't know if they're going to use your footage. You'll know if they reach out to you. So if they don't, we're not interested. If they do reach out to you, they are. Or it might be one of those things where they like yours, they put it aside, they're looking for a specific type right now, and they'll come back to it later. So don't be afraid. Share whatever evidence you've captured. Let's show it and get it out there. All right, so email them to me, dave@darknessradio.com. Hello, Dave and Tim.
Howdy.
That's how this email starts, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to tell you about our haunted night at the Basin Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, Tim.
Arkansas, you say?
Yeah, I've been there. They are sassy people. A little backstory. My husband is a psychic or intuitive. I don't know what to call it. I'm sure he has a name. You don't have to refer to him as it, ma'am. Maybe that's the best way to start this letter off.
He's a person, too, you know. Yeah.
Just an it. Yeah. Apparently a fine piece of ass and a psychic medium to boot, Tim.
Well, you know.
His mother would have feelings or dreams, and everyone had learned to listen to her when she warned us about anything or about a dream. Ooh. His mom was precognitive, Tim. Huh? Dan, she finally gets around to naming him. Dan, my husband, never really believed in it and would brush it off. That is, until we planned an overnight trip to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Dave Schrader, it is pronounced Arkansas, like seesaw, like I saw the man. It's not Arkansas. Do we call it Minnesota?
Yeah.
Actually, we do.
Yeah, we do.
If you live here, we call it Minnesota. Do we call it Illinois? Well, I don't. I call it Illinois, but a lot of people do refer to it as Illinois.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
And it is Arkansas because it is Kansas, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. I don't. Maybe not. Just keep the hate mail back, kids. We're just teasing. I know it's Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Just like to say Arkansas.
It's more fun.
I'm like Shatner with my words. I have a word, sabotage, and I'm just going to say it that way. Logic be damned, Tim.
Why not? It's fun.
We spent a lot of time in Eureka Springs over the years. We only lived 2 to 2.5 hours away, and at least 1 or 2 times a month, we would go to dinner and karaoke in nearby Eagle Rock. Well, if you're in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, you need to stop into the Intrigue Theater and see our buddy Sean Paul and his beautiful wife, Juliana Fay, because they do a remarkable paranormal-themed illusion show that'll blow you away.
Don't forget about Frankie. It was his birthday recently.
Yeah, he's not with them anymore.
What?
Oh, I mean, he visits and he's friends, but I think he actually lives like in a monkey sanctuary.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, he wanted to live with other monkeys, Tim. He wanted to have a monkey girlfriend.
What?
Get a monkey job where he could pay his monkey taxes and monkey bills.
What?
It's true. Yeah. Yeah, he wanted to have a couple little monkeys of his own, Tim. Frankie the monkey.
What?
Yeah. He deserves that, Tim. He's been a showman for a long time. Let him settle down and sow his wild monkey oats, Tim.
I thought show business was in his blood, Dave.
It was, but now he just wants to settle down and have a baby, Tim. He just wants a baby and a wife, and he just wants to be happy. That's all. Frankie, we love you. We support your choices, your monkey choices. We had never stayed at the Basin or the Crescent Hotels. Crescent Hotel's amazing, by the way. I have stayed there. It is very haunted. We would camp nearby or stay with friends that had a lake house. This trip, we had decided to splurge and get a room at the Basin Hotel. We arrived and checked in. The elevator was not working, so we took the stairs to the 4th floor. Scariest part of the story to me, Tim. 4 floors with
7
luggage.
years ago?
Yeah, no, that's the that's a Gettysburg Address where you could send postcards to Abraham Lincoln still today, Tim.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah. Send it to Abraham Lincoln, 407 years ago Lane.
I'm writing this down.
Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
OU812.
OU812. Interesting.
Yep. There you go. So
I'll
that's
do
it.
that.
Anyway, I digress. We're back to the story now, Tim.
Okay.
4 floors, Tim. 4 floors of hell. I don't recall the room number. Both of us were in great shape then. My husband was framing houses, and neither of us have ever smoked, so 4 flights of stairs was not a problem. Oh, got to be a show-off about it, huh?
Big time.
We got almost to the top of the 2nd flight of stairs, and Dan started to get out of breath. He couldn't figure out why. Then, on the 3rd set of stairs, he smells smoke. I smelled none. As we approached our 4th floor room, he begins to cough violently. We get into the room, and Dan says that it's really strong there. We checked everything. We even walked the hall to make sure we didn't see any smoke. We went out to do some shopping. I go to the Christmas shop, 1 or 2 shops down from the hotel on the same side. This is one of my favorite shops, and goes back. I go to the back of the shop to the sales table. I was only in there about 5 minutes when Dan finds me and tells me we have to leave the shop because he has a panicked look on his face. We leave the shop, and I ask him, what's wrong? He tells me he doesn't know, but he has to get away from this part of the shops. He felt as if he needed to run to safety. We quickly walked down the hill to the stone church. As soon as we passed the church, the feeling passed away. Now, Dan is not a person to panic about anything. He no longer smelled smoke. We stayed there for about 10 minutes, and he starts feeling better. At this point, we decide to go back to see if the feeling comes back. As soon as we pass the church, we go back up the hill to the shops. The panic comes back, this time worse the closer we get to the hotel. We couldn't get another room due to the event in town, and it was too late to get a refund for the room, so we decided to go change for dinner and have a drink at the hotel. I never saw him change so fast. We got to the 2nd floor restaurant. We ordered soup and drinks. This woman is very specific in her storytelling. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You should be making you should do this theater of the mind style, Tim. Give me some background noises strictly made by Tim Dennis. All right, ready? We go to the 2nd floor restaurant and order soup and drinks. Clink, clink. He couldn't even make it to the drinks here. He couldn't even wait to make it for the drinks to arrive. The waitress was great and canceled everything. We decided to go for a drive before dinner. He calmed down after a few blocks. Nothing like this has ever happened before. I've had that discussion with my wife on a few occasions. I'm sorry, honey, this has never happened before. I don't understand it either.
Awkward.
Yeah, mine had nothing to do with smell and smoke, though. Anyway, Blue Chew, think about it. That's all I'm saying.
Blue Chew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We went to Eagle Rock, had a great evening. As we returned to the hotel, the feeling came back, but not as bad. I offered to leave, and we could drive home, but he refused, so we got into bed. And a couple hours later, he wakes me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey.
I ask if he's okay, and he tells me he isn't sure. He says that when he looks at me, it isn't me. I am me, but overlaid with someone else. Oh, I hate when my wife gets overlaid by another person, Tim.
Oh, God, that's awkward.
Am I just being jealous? Tim, am I just being jealous when somebody's overlaying my wife?
Dave, we all have our boundaries, and I think those are healthy and safe boundaries for you to have if someone's overlaying your wife. I personally would wind up and punch the guy, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Weird.
Yeah. Assuming it's a guy. I mean, I don't judge.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's right. No, we're not here to judge at all.
No.
Huh.
Yeah.
Says he looks at me and it isn't me. I'm overlaid with someone else. He's freaked out. It was my voice, but he could see someone else. Needless to say, we didn't sleep much after that. At daybreak, we were packed and headed downstairs. I checked out as he waited in the truck across the street. It took us a couple of years to return to Eureka Springs. We were driving through the area on our way to a job. My stepson, his wife, and our granddaughter, Lucy, were with us. Lucy, just a toddler, and needed a potty break just as we got to Eureka Springs. We stopped at the Crescent Hotel to let her use the restroom and walk around. Dan wouldn't even get on the front porch. Said he just got a weird vibe. Then we went to walk around the shops. I go into the Basin Hotel. Dan stands across the street. They had just opened the tea room on the first floor, and we looked around, and it gave me a strange vibe. As I was leaving, I noticed they had books on the history of the hotels and area. I bought one, and we leave to continue on with our journey. As Dan drove, I flipped through the book. I stopped as I saw an old newspaper headline. Basin Hotel catches fire. Death toll rises as the search continues. The part of the hotel we had stayed in had burned twice in the past. Needless to say, both Dan and I were freaked out. I believe that he had connected to a memory of that time, maybe a past life. That happened around 12 to 12 and a half years ago. We hadn't been back to Eureka Springs until this past Saturday. We went for a long drive and just drove down through looking at what all had changed. Sunday night, Dan had a night terror. Dan has never had one of those before. In his dream, he was there. There were things and people only he could see. They were chasing him, and in his dream, he was in the corner by the front door, shaking and unable to talk. Finally, he woke up shaking and tossing and turning, and that woke me up. He told me about the dream that he said was crystal clear and seemed real. I doubt we will ever go back there. I hope you enjoyed our adventure. Keep doing what you both do best and stay safe. Your shows are a highlight of my week. If anything else happens, I'll let you know. That comes from Shelley in Saginaw, Missouri. Tim, Missouri.
Missouri.
How much Missouri? Missouri.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's all I got to say about that. All right, Tim. Since we've got the email of doom open, let's go to the next story.
Email of doom.
Hello, Dave and Tim. My name is Tony, and I'm from Fresno, California.
That's scary.
First off, I want to say thank you to both of you. Not only do you help to bring attention to strange and the paranormal, but you're very entertaining as well. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Recently, I was listening to the show about the Skinwalker Ranch, and it caught my attention. I had to know more, so I ordered the audiobook by George Knapp and Dr. Colm Kelleher. That was so interesting. Then I found the movie that was made by Jeremy Corbell, and it began to dawn on me that maybe they're missing something in the investigation. If the phenomena has an extraterrestrial aspect to it, then there's a way to see if the scientists would be able to have access to some of the data from the LIGO gravitational wave detector, especially the one located in Washington State. I believe that in that data, there could be a way to corroborate the peaks of gravitational waves and spikes in activity in the ranch. My reasoning is this. If the craft in the area are gravity-driven, then it should be possible to detect those gravitational waves, even if the waves would be faint compared to the waves generated by a larger merger of two giant singularities, or if there is a naturally occurring wormhole in the area. Wouldn't that also possibly register in the data? Since the investigators have been documenting the occurrences, then in theory, they should be able to compare it to the data from LIGO and see if it rings true. I also think that if data is on the small scale, it might be passed over as some kind of anomaly and dismissed and ignored. Just a thought. Thank you. I truly enjoy your show. That comes to us from Tony in Fresno, California. Tim.
Well, Tony, if you've been watching the Search for Skinwalker, Dr. Taylor actually, in the middle of the season, hints that there may be a wormhole on the property. And
right, but he's saying, let's challenge that. Let's do it. Let's beam LIGO at it, Tim. No.
Yeah, but now keep in mind, he does also state that they're willing to throw millions of dollars at it. But think of the potential damage you could do to the property by doing that too. I mean, this property is a fine.
Is that damage? No, they're just looking. He's saying that you look for the readings in that area to see if there might be some mini spikes of gravitational effect in that area.
But
because if the craft are using gravitational
right, but
mechanisms,
who's to say they haven't done that, and that's not in season 2? And here's the reason I say that, because if you watch the last episode, and again, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't watched the season ending episode.
And for you that don't understand, spoiler alert means Tim's about to ruin something integral to the storyline. So if you have not yet seen it, this is a good time to plug your ears and hum to yourself, "Mana do 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 do,"
for at least 30 seconds.
Yeah. And 1, 2, 3, you've been warned. Go ahead, Tim.
The last episode really was just a recap of the season. So they didn't really go into new territory nor have any big reveal at the end of the season, which tells me they're holding something back. And it may be that that's part of it. And I know that when Dr. Taylor was on and we talked about having him back, that there were other things that were going on out there. So unless the Rona has spread as far as Skinwalker, maybe there were other experiments that they were about to do out there, and maybe they got interrupted because of this pandemic. But there might be other things that are going on out there that have to do with what you're talking about gravity or other things, and maybe that's being saved for season 2.
Could be.
Yeah.
I like what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I like what you're thinking, and I'm picking up what you're putting down, Tim.
Yeah.
You know what, though, Tim? It's that time. I promised that we would have a special guest on the show.
Okay.
I promised that we would have somebody join us. Tim, I promised that we would have somebody join us that would bring about some amazing stories. And as I told you, Ace Frehley, Tim, from KISS, has shared some very interesting aspects of his own history with the supernatural. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the hit rock band KISS, Ace Frehley.
Really?
He's interviewed by Aaron Sagers, who's joining us right now. Yeah, sorry, we couldn't get Ace Frehley. He's too big. But we were able to get Aaron Sagers to join us. Paranormal Pop Culture, and from Den of Geek. He is with us right now. Aaron Sagers, welcome to the program.
Hey, Dave and Tim. I'm sorry to let you down, Tim. I'm not.
No. You didn't let me down at all. I mean, as long as you're wearing face paint, you're good.
Well, that's part of the
yeah. I mean, obviously.
Quarantine face paint. He wears it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
no, I can't even argue with that.
You're right. Exactly. First of all, people, if you don't know, now you can follow along with Aaron Sagers at paranormalpopculture.com. Keep up with all the cool things he's involved in, his podcasts, his tiki bar conversations. You could just keep up with him there. Aaron, do you have is Paranormal Pop Culture the best way to find you, or is aaronsagers.com, or is mycoolswankytikibar.com? What's the right way to keep up with everything you're doing?
I wish I could say just visit me at my cool swanky tiki bar, but I've not yet opened that. But yeah, paranormalpopculture.com is definitely the way, and also aaronsagers.com will lead to paranormalpopculture.com, and also just all across social media at Aaron Sagers. Oh, and Paranormal Caught on Camera on Travel Channel. I guess I should say that. That's
right. Paranormal Caught on Camera. Aaron Sagers is a part of that program as well. But what brings you on the show today, Tim? Or Aaron, not Tim. Tim's always on the show.
I'm
You're new
always
to
here,
this moment. Is as I was seeking amazing stories for this week to share with our listeners all around the world, and lo and behold, this article from Den of Geek pops up, and we're going to include a link to that article on today's program, folks, so you can find this and see it for yourself in more depth, because Aaron does a great job at really digging deep in this. But instead of me just reading this story, Aaron, I thought I'd go directly to the source from the source. So since Ace Frehley isn't here, talk to us a little bit about this. You have a chance to talk to a lot of celebrities, and oftentimes nothing to do with the paranormal, but you just kind of throw it out there as bait once in a while, don't you, to see if they've had any kind of weird experiences.
Yeah, and so this was an older interview, and I was already interested in the paranormal. I was already doing paranormalpopculture.com, but yeah, I went to interview Ace Frehley and just kind of threw it out there like, you're the spaceman, you're Space Ace. And this Anomaly album seemed to have these kind of themes about UFOs. At least that was what I was picking up on it. And I'm like, you ever see one? And boom, he launches into this story about not only does he see them over the skies in Westchester, New York, where he lives all the time. He woke up, passed out on his lawn, and found scorch marks in the earth in his lawn, and on some level believes that he may have been abducted. And that story is just one of the many that he shared with me. Just by throwing that one question out, he launched into story after story, a ghost punching him in the face, and this guy is like a paranormal magnet.
I'm sorry, you're telling me Hans? Good God, my mind is in 18 different places at once. You're telling me Ace Frehley, not Hans Frehley, because nobody cares about him, but you're telling me that Ace Frehley was punched in the face by a ghost? Well,
that's what Ace Frehley says. Now, his story, and I think that a lot of people would probably try to debunk this, but according to him, in 2008, he was about to hit the road. He was about to go on tour, and he was lifting the top of a suitcase when he said a force struck him. And he said that it definitely wasn't the top of the suitcase, but that he was whacked in the face. And as he was pulling this suitcase down. Now, of course, I thought, are you sure that you didn't just hit yourself in the face with a suitcase and then you blame a ghost? Because that's what I would do. That seems like the obvious thing to do. But he said that it wasn't heavy enough to cause the kind of force that he experienced. And as he was saying this, he then proceeds to tell me that his daughter, while he was setting up some security cameras and asking his daughter, how does this look? Does this look right? Does that look right? She's on the phone with him watching this footage get set up, these cameras get set up, and she proceeds to tell him that there is this glowing mist that was moving up his body and overtaking him. And he said that at that moment he was also feeling suddenly nauseous and out of it, as if he was going to pass out. So one thing after another with Ace.
That's crazy. Do you get many of these celebrities that will open up to you, even though you're not talking about anything paranormal or a scary movie that they're involved in? Do many kind of offer up their paranormal experiences when you do ask?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's certainly become more common for these things to pop up. I think, Dave, it's sort of like you can be, and you know this, when you're on the road, you might end up at a bar or a restaurant and you just strike up a conversation with someone next to you. And maybe without even saying what you do, that you work in the paranormal, the topic just sort of naturally comes up sometimes. Or even if you do say, like, I'm on the Holzer Files, I talk about the paranormal, people say, well, I don't really believe in any of that, but there was this one time.
Right.
And then they launch into their own story. I think it's the same with celebrities, and they've become more comfortable over the years talking about it. It's not so much of a stigma as it once was.
Well, let me ask you this. Out of all the celebrities you've spoken to, Who surprised you the most with admitting a paranormal encounter?
I would say that this interview with Ace is certainly up there, but the close second would be probably Guillermo del Toro. He is well known for being interested in the paranormal. Of course, the director of Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, The Shape of Water. But not only his interest in the paranormal, but the education that he has on it. So one time when I was interviewing him, he kind of starts spouting his knowledge of spiritualism and name dropping old school investigators like Harry Price and Pete Underwood, names that nerds like us know, but you don't expect a lot of other people out there to just sort of drop those names. So that surprised me, the education that he had about the paranormal. But then, of course, he also had his own ghost stories, and he was raised, he's Mexican. He was raised in Mexico. So his story was obviously a different kind of cultural experience than what I was raised with. And I found that fascinating as well.
Very, very cool. I love getting a chance to talk to people like this. I've encountered some celebrities at places from time to time, and I'll ask them, have you ever had a paranormal encounter? Some have gone on the record and talked openly with me about it. Others will say, well, I'll tell you, but I don't ever want you to say who I am or tell anybody that this was me. And I'm like, all right. But yeah, I have had a few people do that. Have you ever had a celebrity tell you something but ask you to keep it off the record?
Yeah, well, I will say that he didn't want the story out there, but someone, you know that I'm a big Twilight Zone fan. I know you are.
Right.
So Billy Mooney from Twilight Zone, from Lost in Space, he did tell me a story, and he said, you can keep it on the record that I told you a story. I just don't want you to tell the story. So that's one that comes to mind where he just didn't want the details of his story out there.
Wait a minute. So you could admit that he told you a creepy story, but you couldn't tell what the story was.
Precisely. Yeah.
Ah.
so then it's sort of like a clickbait ghost story, you know?
Right. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You won't believe Bill Mooney's ghost story.
Well, maybe you could tell us a ghost story by Stan Schmoomy. Do you know any good stories by him? He was Billy Mooney's stand-in on the Twilight Zone.
Good old Will Schmoomy.
Yeah, Will Schmoomy.
His stunt double.
Very cool. Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley claims UFO and ghostly encounters. Den of Geek is the article housing it. I've got a link up to that in today's program so you guys can find it. You can keep up with Aaron over at Paranormal Pop Culture. Aaron, thanks for stopping by and sharing a little insight into this story with us.
Thanks, Dave. And if I may, just real quickly, if you want to hear the audio of this interview, I've launched a podcast called Nightmerica. Check that out, and you can listen to the whole thing.
Very cool. So go in a little bit deeper with that. And is there a link on that from Paranormal Pop Culture?
Yes, and in the Den of Geek article, you can find all the direct links to the Nightmerica podcast as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good luck and continued success, Mr. Sagers.
Talk to you soon, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Every day and in every way, I'm getting better and better, and I hope you are too. You know, I've been getting more and more emails from you talking about how you're feeling better because you've been using Feels. Hey, it's your boy Timmy, and I want to talk to you for just a moment about Feels CBD. You know, I've been going through a lot of pain for a lot of years, some sleeplessness because of that pain, and I've been going through some anxiety because of that pain, but it's been getting better because I've been using Feels. And a lot of you have been emailing me over the last month or two telling me that you're getting better now because you've been using Feels. Although I know there's still a few of you who are emailing me saying, I don't know, Tim, really? You told me you turned your mom onto it and she's feeling better, and I still don't know if I believe you or not. Believe it. Believe it. I'm telling you, more and more people are getting a hold of me and saying, you know what, Tim, I tried it and it works. What was there to doubt? Do you think I was steering you wrong? If I tell you I'm using it, I'm using it. I am using it. Now, a lot of you are asking me, well, Tim, how much should you use? How much should I use? You know what? The only thing I can tell you is go to the people at Feels and ask them. Ask them. Although I know what works for me, I don't necessarily know what works for you because I don't know your history. But the people at Feels are real great about sitting down with you and telling you what exactly it is you need. That's why they're there. Now, you may be saying to yourself, Self, what is Feels? Well, if you experience stress, if you have anxiety, chronic pain, trouble sleeping at least once a week, you aren't alone. A lot of us do. Me personally, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Everything hurts except for the tip of the pinky on my left hand. That's it. Everything else is herniated or bulging or broken or you know my history by now. But I needed some help along the way, and the good people at Feels came along and they said, Tim, we want to help. Thank you. Thank you, Feels. I appreciate it. Feels is premium CBD delivered directly to your doorstep. You don't have to go anywhere. And in this society, in this day and age where there's pandemics, and by gosh, you probably should stay in the house anyways, it's great that Feels comes directly to you. Feels naturally helps you reduce stress, anxiety, pain, and sleeplessness. And I'll tell you, without my Feels, I don't sleep at all. Maybe an hour, hour and a half tops, and I'm back up again. And I hurt. And I've got anxiety because I hurt. But with Feels, I sleep through the night. I sleep like a baby. I take 2 droppers a day. I take a dropper before I go to bed. I take a dropper full when I get up. And with that, I'm able to sit here and do this podcast and tape this podcast. And with that, I'm able to get through my day and get through my business. And I'm able to sleep at night. And I'm able to manage with all that chronic pain. And there's a lot to be there. Boy, I'll tell you, I could sit down a big, thick manila folder full of MRIs and X-rays and a life history full of pain and injuries. But Feels helps me manage all of that. It can help you manage too. It's real easy to take. You just place a few drops of Feels under your tongue and feel the difference within minutes. The thing to remember about CBD, though, is that finding the right dose is important. And everyone's dose is different. Mine is different than what yours is going to be. Leave some room to experiment there over the course of about a week or so. You may need to take more or less depending on what effects you're getting. Like I said, for me, it's a couple of droppers full a day. It may be more or less for you. What's great about Feels, like I told you, if you're new to CBD, Feels offers a free CBD hotline to help guide you through your personal experience. It's not just dropping it off at your doorstep and then good luck to you. Nope, Feels is there with you all the way through. You have questions, you call them. They answer. They're right there every step of the way, and that's why I love Feels. Feel better naturally. There's no high, there's no hangover, there's no addiction. There's no kicking it off your back. There's no shakes. There's no feeling icky once you've come down off of it. It's like taking ibuprofen. It's perfect. It's just the perfect way to get rid of that pain, that anxiety, that sleeplessness. It's perfect. It helps bring down that anxiety as well. Get in on the deal. Join the Feels community and get Feels delivered to your door every single month. And you'll save money on every single order. And of course, you can pause or cancel at any time. But once you start feeling great with Feels, I don't know why you'd want to stop. I honestly don't. How do you get in on the deal? It's real simple. Feels has me feeling my best every day. It can help you too. And get started today if you haven't already. I don't know why you haven't. Become a member today by going to feels.com/darkness. We're going to give you 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's FEALS.com/darkness. Become a member. Get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. One more time. Feels.com/darkness. Get rid of that anxiety. Get rid of that pain. Start sleeping. You deserve it. You're worth it. Stop suffering. You don't have to suffer. You think you do. You think that some penance you need to pay. You don't. Get that monkey off your back. Start living. Get a hold of Feals today. FEALS.com/darkness. 50% off, automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. Feals.com/darkness. Do it today.
That was cool. So it wasn't Ace Frehley, Tim. I'm sorry if that clickbait caught you there. But, it's Aaron Sagers.
That's even better.
Busy. A lot going on.
Yeah, it's even better. It's good to hear from Aaron. It's. I miss the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Scared man films Annabelle dolls in his home moving, Tim.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you heard me, Tim. Little creepy things moving on their own.
You boy.
Yeah. Strange, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Very weird. It's actually, according to this article, the stuff of nightmares, Tim.
Oh, I would think so, yeah.
Yes, the author of this article, Marina Palouse, she says, I said it, that when I was 8, and I'm saying it again now, dolls suck. I have no idea why kids love them with those lifeless eyes and terrifying smiles. They're made to scare people. You'd think some people grow out of their fear of dolls. However, that's not the case for all. Like this one gentleman in particular who ended up experiencing something paranormal at his home when he was alone. Chad Gassert, who was alone at home in Ohio, ran to his bedroom in sheer terror after he filmed his wife's dolls moving on their own inside a glass cabinet. The twist here is that this is the second time this happened to him. A few months earlier, Chad had experienced something similar with the trio of dolls in his home, which is why he decided to film the paranormal activity in his living room, so he could show everyone. The spine-chilling footage shows one of the dolls move forward on its own accord as Chad films the glass cabinet where the porcelain dolls were kept. While the camera continues to film, Chad repeatedly said, "The dolls keep moving." A pile of clothes fall to the floor with literally no one near them. Chad then completely loses it in the video as one of the dolls tips over sideways, its feet knocking against the glass cabinet, Tim. I'm in my room right now, watching the door. I wish this was trickery. Wife is gone at the moment. I'm the only one here. I'm a little shook. I went to my bedroom. I was looking at the door, waiting for that mother to bust through it. Yeah. It's the second time he's seen it, Tim. The last time the doll was just the doll that moved, and now a completely different doll is moving. Clothes just fall off the couch, Tim. It only happens when I'm here by myself, he was quoted as saying. The story's so good, I've now told it twice, Tim. I believe the story somehow showed back up in this week's stories from last week's stories. We call this a moment of deja vu.
I was going to say, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, deja vu, Tim.
Yeah.
That's what I explained it to be. Tim, let's meet the Middletown man living inside a haunted school.
Okay.
Daryl Wisman has always been a skeptic, Tim. He says he put himself in your shoes. Who wouldn't be skeptical when you and your wife decide to move into an abandoned school in Middleton? But what happened after that would probably send anyone running. There's a ghost in there, man. Next thing you know, there's a team of paranormal investigators at your door. Then another group. Then another. This is how Post Town was born. Flash forward to 2018, Daryl Wisman is still there with plenty of stories to tell and tapes to show. Are ghosts real? Do spirits really follow you? That's what they dig into. All right, Tim, our next story is an audio daily double. Meet the Middletown man living inside a haunted school.
What happened to you? Like you said,
I have no clue. I woke up at 4:15 in the morning. I was on my hands and knees in the middle of my bedroom floor.
We just heard a very loud bang.
And blood was just pouring out of my head.
Right behind the camera back here.
And I don't know why it's haunted. I don't know what makes things be here.
You also do have my permission to use our energy. When you leave, you believe. A lot of people that come here have experienced things in their earlier life, and they're all trying to find answers to what it is and what causes it. In 2004, there used to be a grocery store next door, and I'd come down to the grocery store and seen the building was empty and windows busted out, and it looked terrible. I went home and asked my wife, I said, can I show you something? So I brought her down and showed her the place. We had a lot of big plans here, what we could do here and live here and everything else. So we went with it. It just ended up being our house. Never knew anything about the paranormal. Didn't know anything here was haunted or anything like that. You see something, it's just your eyes playing tricks on you. Or you hear noises, it's just a big old building, it's going to make noises, you know. The guy working for me said he's seen a ghost upstairs. I'm like, you're crazy, there ain't no such thing as ghosts, you know. And dogs, possums, things that get in here. And he said, dude, you ain't going to catch this. I said, we'll catch it. I'll get in the room, shut the door, and you're not going to catch it. I said, well, if I can't catch it, I'll shoot it. He knew these group of people, that's what they do, like on TV. He talked me into letting them come in. They set up all this equipment and stuff, and every question they asked, they got a response to.
This is a room where we've had a lot of activity when we first came here. There was a night that we had a group here, and one of the guys wanted to come down here and actually test this out. Pulled on it, it wouldn't do anything. Did it again, said, hey, could you let me in? Pulled on the door, nothing. Well, as soon as he did it the second time, Daryl and I both heard a little girl behind the door say something in a very sing-songy way, and it said, Mommy and Daddy said.
I was thinking, they're trying to trick me. They're trying to make me think there's something here.
So I looked at Daryl, and he looked at me, and we're like, you heard that, right? I'm not just my mind's not playing tricks on me. He's like, yeah, I absolutely heard that. So I pushed the guy out of the way, I flung the door open and came into the dry goods room. And then again, Mommy and Daddy said, well, we went up there, we searched around in that room, and there was nothing in there.
It exploded from there.
There's somebody in the room behind me.
There's something in there.
A lot of the paranormal groups tell me that when you pass, if you don't cross over, you go where you were the happiest. And I guess in elementary school was one of the happier places in a lot of kids' lives. Now, to me, I don't feel like there's nothing demonic here. If there was something bad here, I don't think me and my family could have lived here for 14 years. We've had a lot of audio, and quite a bit of video.
Can you make a sound for me now? Thank you.
And pictures and things of full body apparitions, shadows.
So basically we've had groups capture shadows in this hallway. This is the teacher's hallway. We get a lot of footsteps in this area. People have caught some good EVPs. He's actually caught shadows walking down this and going in to the principal's room. We were filming at the end of this hallway, and we had the camera on the ground.
Well, we lost our voice recording.
All of a sudden, you see what looks like a dark shadow cross this door like this. And then once it gets to about here, it blankets, almost like a cape, and falls through the floor. You have to be a skeptic in what we do. But when you saw this shadow, it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen out of this building.
I don't know how to explain it. You got to put yourself in the element of where you're investigating. And here, you're dealing with mostly kids. So it's like you play games with them, you act like you're at school time. You get a lot more interaction back from them when you do it like that.
There's a story about a girl that went to school here that actually had fallen from the very top, which is about 3 floors, and fell all the way to the floor here. They say she didn't die here, but she actually died later at home from her injuries that she sustained here. I can never find any records on it, but I have had people come through here saying that when they went to school here, they do remember hearing the story about that. So I have personally caught on EVP. It sounds like a little girl almost falling down the stairwell. Like it's like she was really close to the recorder, then all of a sudden the screen got a little bit further away, like she was falling. I'm probably the only one I know of that anything bad's ever happened to. I should say bad, but like I have some pictures. I want to point to this wall over here. That head with the 4 holes in it across the forehead, that's me. That was at 4:15 in the morning. I got one door in here, room 109, has opened 4 times, and all 4 times that door is opened on its own. Something bad happens to me that night. Specify that door, I can go over and try to let you open it, and you can't open that door. It's swelled up, it sticks so tight, you have to go inside the room and kick it as hard as you can. And that was the one that would basically open on its own. I don't know if it's like a portal or something people try to explain to me, that things can come and go as they please. And me and my wife went through the bedroom trying to find something, if I fell out of the bed or if I got up and walked around headbutting something. And we couldn't find anything that could make them 4 holes in my head in the bedroom. I think if you guys have things attached to you, like spirits of some kind, and right now they're in here with you and they're feeling comfortable, when you leave, they may stay here. If you come here and you're not at least a little bit open-minded, those kind of people, what I'm saying by that, I've had people come here that are like that. They will not open themselves up, and you're sitting here talking to them, and they didn't see nothing, they don't believe in this. Some people never admit or say what they actually feel or experience. I always make a joke saying to make this place really famous, I need a demon, because everybody wants something bad. But I don't want nothing bad here. And this sounds crazy, but I feel so comfortable here. It's like, I don't want to say I'm becoming one with the building. That ain't what I mean by that. I could stay here forever. I don't ever want to leave here. I don't want to go anywhere. It's like I take care of this building, and this building helps take care of me.
All right, Tim, let's take a visit back to Arkansas, if you don't mind.
Sure.
An Arkansas man stabbed after ghost hunting in Little Rock. It's not the way I like to end my night of ghost hunting, Tim. I don't know about you.
No, I'd prefer to leave that part out, yeah.
Officers responded to the Roadway Inn in Little Rock early Tuesday morning, where a man reportedly being kidnapped and stabbed. 2 men and a woman were paranormal hunting in a cemetery in Little Rock around 1:50 a.m. when they got into a verbal argument, according to a police report. During the argument, 31-year-old Mark Galloway reportedly insisted on driving, and the 3 drove off from the cemetery. The woman, who was in the passenger seat of the vehicle, told police that she'd asked Galloway to stop the vehicle because she could not breathe. Galloway reportedly refused to stop the car, and the woman tried to take the keys out of the ignition. The other man, who was in the backseat, told police he also tried to get control of the vehicle. Galloway began stabbing the man with a knife, according to the report. Officers responded to the hotel, where they found the man with stab wounds in his thigh and torso. Galloway also had cuts on his chin and his left hand. Both men were taken to UAMS, Tim. I'm guessing that's a medical place. Yeah.
Yeah, WAMS.
Yeah. WAMS.
Yeah.
Galloway has been charged with first-degree battery and false imprisonment. On Tuesday, he's being held without bond at the Pulaski County Jail, Tim. How about them apples? You like them apples, Tim?
Sure.
Yeah. No, thanks. Hi, Dave and Tim.
Hi.
Look forward to your show every weekend. That's how this email starts. You guys asked, would you want to know how and when you're going to die?
Oh.
We did. We asked that about a month ago.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
In a word, no. When I watch death row stories, I always think how awful it would be to live with the knowledge of the exact day and time of your death, how much anxiety it would cause counting down the days and the hours. How do you possibly eat a last meal?
Very quickly. Yeah, you did it very quickly. Yeah.
Really? I would take my time with it, Tim, honestly. I wouldn't be in a rush.
Well, if you knew you only had so much time, I mean...
I'd be enjoying every succulent bite of my Portillo's beef and cheddar croissant.
That would be the last
Portillo's Chicago dog.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to say fixate because that sounds weird and obsessive, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
But I would really I would revel in that moment. If I knew my life was coming to an end, that would be the meal right there.
That's your
along
last
with
meal.
Chocolate cake shake, from Portillo's.
Huh.
Yeah, this episode brought to you by Portillo's. I wish. We do enough advertising for them. Greatest food.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Especially if you're in the Chicagoland and now Minnesota area, Tim. Portillo's.
Oh, yeah.
It's in California as well. I think parts of Iowa and Wisconsin. Portillo's.
One in Arizona.
Yeah. Folks, if you're listening from the Portillo's organization, I may be your biggest fan. So, feel free to reach out and advertise on the best in paranormal talk radio with the best in all food, Portillo's. Anyway.
Yeah.
You guys asked, how would you want to know? And we're getting back into this whole death row thing. I don't think I'd like to know, and I'm not, how. Let me try to rephrase this statement, Tim. My eyes and my mouth are not working well together in this because right now all I'm thinking about is a beef and cheddar croissant with sweet peppers.
The minute and hour of your death, if you would want to know it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would if it was choking to death on a Portillo's beef and cheddar croissant with sweet peppers.
But
Tim.
What a way to go. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And many people would think, but then, boy, you'd avoid beef and cheddar croissants with sweet peppers. Oh, no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Is that weird?
No, not at all. I mean, why not be taken up by the thing you love? I'm just saying.
She says, when I watch death row stories, I always think about how awful it would be living with that knowledge of the exact day and time of your death, how much anxiety it would cause counting down the days and then the hours. How would you possibly eat a last meal? But I do think I would like to know how I'm not going to die.
Everything around you?
For instance, if I could know I'm not going to die in a plane crash, I would travel so much more and be relaxed doing it. I agree with Tim, though. If I knew it would be choking, then I would start pureeing all my food. How much would it change your lifestyle in a negative way? Would you stop driving if you knew it was a car crash? Would you become a recluse? And we should all be good people and appreciate time with our loved ones and live life to the fullest, because what we do know is that none of us are living forever unless they figure out how to upload us into the Matrix. Sorry, Tim. And that comes from Jen.
Jen, speaking as a guy who's had some extensive oral surgery lately, pureeing all your food isn't as cracked up as you'd like to think it is. In fact, it's not all that great.
I've had two instances, Tim.
Yeah.
Where I remember physically thinking, oh, please don't let this be the way.
Mm-hmm.
One, I woke up one morning and I went into a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, and all of a sudden the world around me started to swim.
Mm-hmm.
And I started seeing flashes of white light. And I thought, holy crap, death by stretch. This is not the way to go, Tim.
No.
You don't want to. No. And then the other time was after having been at a very rowdy football party in Wisconsin. I will admit I ate a lot of cheese, Tim. So my bathroom visit left me praying to the Lord to end my life and suffering. And I thought, this is the way I go. I'm gonna black out and die on the toilet.
I don't know if you've ever had to do this before, Dave, but if you've ever had to blend a steak, not fun. No.
Well, when I did have stomach surgery years ago.
Yeah.
All right. This is my shame eating moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I had surgery because I had GERD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Esophageal reflux disorder. So they cinched the top. Well, then they're like, you can't eat anything solid. It's got to be all liquids. And I crave hot dogs. You know that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was doing, Tim, was twofold. And my wife caught me, and it was embarrassing. I've got to say this. This is not what most men would say is embarrassing that your wife catches you doing. But she came home. I was drinking the water from the boiled hot dogs.
Ugh.
Yeah, and then I would hold the hot dog in my mouth, and I was like I was milking the hot dog. I wouldn't chew it. I just kind of held it in my mouth and mashed it and let the juices seep down my tongue, Tim. And now I realize just how bizarre that really came out sounding. So let's move on, shall we?
Odd oral fixation there, my friend.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got more of the best in paranormal talk radio, more news stories to share, and another guest joins us right after this.
June is Pride Month, and while this year's celebrations may be a little different than usual, there are still ways that we can come together to support the LGBTQ community. One way is with Bombas's new Pride collection. These colorful socks bring more love, compassion, and comfort into the world because these socks give back to those experiencing homelessness in the LGBTQ plus community. I got a few pair of these socks celebrating Pride Month myself, and I love the colors. I love the fact that these socks stand out on their own, and I've been getting compliments left and right about these socks. I've been wearing them around town. I wore them with me to the clinic, to the foot doctor the other day. I wore them with me to the pharmacy. I've been wearing them, and people have been saying, "Oh my God, I love your socks. Where have you been getting them?" And I tell them I got them from Bombas. And then I tell them about Bombas's mission during Pride Month and where the money's been going to the homeless community and the LGBTQ plus community and what Bombas is doing with that community. And people, they want the information. They want to know how they can get in on the action and help out the homeless community and the LGBTQ community. So I tell them what they can do. And people get excited about it. They get excited about wanting to be philanthropic with the community, which is great. We're seeing a change, folks. We're seeing a change in people wanting to come together and help their fellow man. And that's what's really great about Bombas and what I love about Bombas and what I love about Bombas being a sponsor of Beyond the Darkness. And this month is a really great month. And I love Bombas's mission this month. And what's great about Bombas this month is for every pair of Pride socks that you buy, Bombas is going to go ahead and donate a pair to someone in need in the LGBTQ community through the Ally Coalition, which is absolutely wonderful. Bombas works year-round with the Ally Coalition, an organization that uses music to illuminate the systemic inequalities facing the LGBTQ community, like homelessness. And did you know that the LGBTQ community is more at risk of experiencing homelessness? 1 in 10 young adults in the LGBTQ plus community will experience it. That according to a study by the Voices of Youth Count. The Bombas Pride Collection comes in 6 colorful styles, and I want you to check them out because they're all absolutely wonderful styles. I tell you, I have a pair that they're kind of like an orange creamsicle color. They're like mid-calf, and I absolutely love them. I've been wearing them around town, and I have a golf sock that they have kind of a nice little brick pattern around the toe. Those are nice and comfortable too. I've been wearing both of those around town, and I've been getting amazing compliments on both those socks. And I want you to go check them out. I want you to go check out the different styles this month that are supporting Pride Month because these socks are nice. They stand out. And of course, they keep you warm when you need your foot warm. They keep them cool when you need them cool. Bombas socks always perform in the clutch. Bombas socks are made with extra long staple cotton. They're the softest, most breathable cotton in the world, and they're built with a cushioned footbed that creates a layer of comfort between you and your shoes without adding any bulk, which is important because, hey, we're in the middle of June. It's going to get hot outside, Bombas socks provide support in places that you didn't even know you needed it, like your arches. When you put on a Bombas sock, it just kind of grabs that arch and it supports it. It feels real nice. Each sock is built with a special arch-hugging system that's supportive, but it's not too tight. It feels just right. It's like a nice little hug for your foot. You ever notice that annoying toe seam that most socks have? That one that it just kind of gets there and it's kind of hurting your foot. Well, Bombas has gotten rid of it. It's gone. It's just smooth sailing all the way across the top of your foot. Now, Pride is usually a time where we can all come together, but because many Pride events were canceled this year, it's more important than ever to find new ways to show support and give back to the community. So here's what you can do. Get in with us right now. Help out the LGBTQ plus community. Help out homelessness in the LGBTQ plus community. Join your buddies here at Beyond the Darkness. Go to bombas.com/darkness today to shop the Pride collection and get 20% off your first order. That's bombas.com/darkness. Get 20% off your first order and shop the Pride collection. One more time, bombas.com/darkness. Do it today.
Hey, 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 this is NFL Hall of Famer Ray Lewis. I'm excited to announce the launch of my new podcast, Everyday Greatness, the Ray Lewis Podcast. I'll be talking with friends, family members, old teammates, athletes, celebrities, moguls, and guess what? I'll be talking to you. Listen, this is all in the search for everyday greatness. So I'm asking you to come along with me on this ride. Download new episodes of Everyday Greatness, the Ray Lewis Podcast, every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on podcast1.com. It's not what you have, it's what's inside of you that actually inspires greatness.
Welcome back to the program. This is the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm Dave Schrader. That's Tim Dennis. All right, Tim. A lot of restrictions are being lifted. People are getting back to the world of travel.
Yes, they are.
And
yeah.
I think it's time you stretch your wings, little man, and fly.
Where am I going?
India.
India?
Yeah, what do you got against India, Tim?
Nothing. I love me a good curry, but what am I going to India for?
Well, if you've been bitten by the travel bug and you have a thing for the supernatural, you probably take special delight in visiting places that are rumored to be haunted. Even the biggest or busiest cities will have at least one place, Tim, that is believed to be possessed by spirits, and locals will tell you to avoid it, especially after dark. However, the thrill of those haunted places goes up a few notches when it's a place nestled among quiet hills and tall trees. If you thought such places exist only in horror story compilations, Tim, think again. Because here's a list curated of 4 such spots located in a popular hill stations that are said to be the playgrounds of the poltergeists and spirits in India. First, Tim, we'll send you off to Dow Hill, often called the land of orchids. Clickbait sounds pretty. You go in, Tim?
Yeah.
All hell breaks loose.
Uh-oh.
Huh? Kirasong is a beautiful hill station in West Bengal. It's famous for its breathtaking views. However, it's also a very common spot for paranormal activities, Tim. For instance, locals have reported seeing a headless boy disappearing into the woods in the area. People often experience eerie sensations, like the feeling of being followed or watched. There's a school which is very close to the woods, where some have reported hearing loud footsteps or whispers from between December to March, when the place is officially closed, Tim. Now, despite being a very popular tourist destination, a lot of people do not know about this haunted house in Kalimpong, built in the 1930s to celebrate the wedding of the Morgans. However, Mrs. Morgan died a premature death and her husband left the house soon after. While nobody has seen the ghost of Mrs. Morgan, visitors and locals have reported hearing high-heeled footsteps down empty corridors in the house. Locals believe it is because she was tortured by her husband before her death, and that is why her unhappy spirit cannot leave the house. How about the Charleville Mansion, Tim? This house, the tag of the most haunted house in Shimla. The story of this mansion begins with an army officer who wanted to test for himself if there was a poltergeist in the house. He locked the room where most of the haunted incidents happened. One night, upon hearing a large crash from the room, he opened it to find that everything had been completely shattered. He left the mansion soon after. Next, came the Baileys, who, even after hearing such stories, wanted to move in, as the rent, as you might imagine, Tim, was quite low. One night, as they were out for dinner, their servant saw Mr. Bailey in a room. When he asked his master if he wanted something, the latter did not answer and left the room through a closed door. Now, what's curious about this place is that despite all the paranormal activities that have been reported there, no reports of violent incidents have taken place in the house. But locals still believe that the ghosts of many Englishmen roam the house, Tim. Oh, not creepy enough for you, Tim? Sorry, not creepy enough. How about the Barrog Tunnel, Tim?
Well, now that's getting kind of scary.
Also known as Tunnel Number 33. This stretch of the Kalka-Shimla Railway is believed to be haunted. Legend has it that a certain Colonel Barrog was made in charge of constructing the tunnel in a given time. Owing to some miscalculations, he could not meet the deadline and was not only fired from the post, but also humiliated by the workers. Soon after that, he shot himself. The tunnel was constructed away from the original spot, and the government tried to seal the old one. However, the lock was broken every time. There are stories about how the spirit of Colonel Barrog roams the tunnel and occasionally even strikes up a friendly conversation, Tim. Yeah, that's not really that creepy.
No.
Hey, how you doing? Nice day out there today, isn't it? Yeah, that's not much of a haunting when the ghost is all friendly and lovey.
Do you like my tunnel? It's kind of homey, isn't it?
Homely?
Homey.
Oh, homey.
Right. Homey tunnel.
Yeah. No, I didn't just say that to begin with, Tim. Now, I do want to say, Tim, today is an amazing day. Today is a day that we talked about Ace Frehley from a gentleman who sat down and spoke to Ace Frehley, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't get Ace Frehley. I've tried actually getting Ace Frehley on the show, but he's always too busy, Tim.
I bet.
I couldn't provide you Ace Frehley.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But we got you the next best thing, Aaron Sagers.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
So, Tim.
Yeah.
Joining us now, as promised, a very special guest joining us for a few moments on this program. You might recognize him as the researcher and the man with the dusty fingers from going through the Holzer files, seeking the perfect stories for our team to investigate. But he is also, Tim, a remarkable man behind the scenes, and he's here to talk to us a little bit about a project that he's working on. My good friend, Gabe Roth. Gabe, welcome to Darkness Radio.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing really good. Hey, since I've got you here, I want to ask you one quick thing. This is the big question on everybody's mind with the Holzer files. How much time does it usually take to sift through? And people don't realize there's thousands of these case files to sift through, find the matching audio, the film, and then the case files, notes, and all of the little stories that he was able to collect.
Well, first of all, you need a COVID, HEPA mask down in that basement at Alexandra's house.
Yes, you do.
Because it is a lot of moldering, old, musty files. You can see them when we're on camera. I mean, those are the actual files themselves. And a lot of them, some of them we have to photocopy because they're, falling apart. They're like turning to dust. So that's one thing about them is you have to be careful going through them because they tear and rip and you don't want to destroy any of the evidence. Some of that stuff's like 50 years old. But, it just depends on the case. Some of the cases he went back over the course of years. So, and in a lot of things, the files, everything's together over all the years. But some of the things I have found where I'm researching something and then, a few boxes later, I find more back on that same case. And so it just takes a while to know if you've actually gone through everything that Hans was looking at for one particular case. So, it's we stop and go. Alexandra's on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. So when I go over to the East Coast to go look through that stuff, I could spend a couple of days there at a time, or I've had stretches where I'm there for like a few weeks at a time. So it's case to case. It just depends. But it is a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And I'm sort of into that kind of thing, just going through, old photos and going through old records. So I enjoy it. It's like a vacation for me.
Do you ever get the heebies and or the jeebies when you're listening to those old recordings alone, digging through these things, or watching that film footage of Ethel or Sybil channeling these spirits?
Yeah. If you're by yourself, it's a different thing than when we're all together watching them. Especially if it's like late at night and you're in like a basement and you're listening to this stuff, it's a little bit creepy. It can be. Especially when Ethel does channel someone, her voice, changes and she sort of takes on the personality of that person, and it can be a little creepy. But like I said, I'm sort of into that stuff. I always have been. I'm the kid that watched The Exorcist at age 4 and hid under the table, so I enjoy it.
Excellent. Well, we're back out on the road, folks, filming the remainder of season 2. We've got, I think, 7 episodes filmed now, ready to go. We got 8 more to go. So with luck, we're going to complete all those and be back on the air this fall, 2020, on the Travel Channel. But you've got an exciting project that you're working on, Gabe, and I wanted to give you a time to talk to our audience. I alluded to this at the beginning of today's show, but I figured let's just talk to the man behind the plan. Go ahead. What's going on?
I appreciate you calling in about this. So I've got something cooking that I'd love to get you involved with. And I can't say too much about it right now, but what I can tell everyone is that I would love to find video evidence, maybe even some photo evidence, but specifically video evidence of people's personal paranormal experiences. And ideally, it's people that have something ongoing that we might be able to help them with. So if any of your listeners have any video evidence of something like this, or know of anyone that could take some video evidence of something going on in their home or their workplace, I would love to have a look at it and see if we could help them. And it could be something that happened in the past that's not happening anymore, but especially if there's something going on currently, we'd love to see what's happening in your homes, in your workplace, or anywhere else that you tend to frequent. So I have set up a Gmail initially, and as we get further along, I'm sure it'll be something more official, but I've set up a myparanormalevidence@gmail.com email address. So if anyone has anything, I'd love to take a look at it. And Dave, I'm sure we'll be discussing this a lot over the coming next couple of months. But again, it's myparanormalevidence@gmail. And please send anything and everything. I'd love to have a look.
If you've forgotten it, like I said earlier, you can always send it to dave@darknessradio.com, and I'll forward it on to Gabe. This has nothing to do with the Holzer Files, though, folks. Nothing to do with the Holzer Files program. I'm just helping the production and trying to gather these stories, and I'll be sending them on to Gabe to review and examine. But again, if they want to send directly to you, include the name, your phone number, your best email address so that they have ways to contact you. And what email should they send it to again, Gabe?
myparanormalevidence@gmail. And for those of your listeners who have a little trouble with the spelling, it's myparanormalevidence, myparanormalevidence@gmail.com.
Look at you, helping with spelling lessons. This show just helps people learn, Tim.
Yeah, it does.
It's these special guests we bring on that help us get a little bit better. So if you're looking, if you've captured like Ring camera evidence, if you've captured it on your baby monitor, something weird is going on. Maybe your security cameras at work are picking up on this footage. You've got this opportunity to kind of reevaluate and want some answers. Then Gabe is working on a project that might be able to help get those answers for you.
For sure. And especially if you have something ongoing and you just take out your cell phone and record some stuff. And may I request that you record it not vertically, but landscape, since I would like this to be a television show. Just take some videos on your phone even. That would be great. And you can even be talking us through it while you're recording. I'd love to see anything and everything.
Very cool. So do that. Get involved, be a part of it. And Gabe, I gotta congratulate you. I know you have so many files to go through. This season is off the charts. Cool.
I've been excited about it. Yeah.
I can't. I wish I could say more, but one of my favorite episodes last season was the Ocean-Born Mary case because of the twists and turns. A case we just got off had that same feel to it of legend, lore, fact, and fiction overlaying one another. This one was a challenge, and we dug through, and I can't wait to show you the evidence that we just captured because it's going to blow your mind.
Yeah, and just so your listeners understand, I'm just the jumping off point. So we suspect that there's more to a lot of these cases, but until Dave gets back or until I get a call from him in the field, I don't know what the turns are in the cases and what happens in a lot of them. So when you say things like that to me, Dave, it gets me pretty excited.
Well, that's the idea. I want you to get excited because
you can tell me all about it.
Yeah, I will. I'll be giving you a call back and filling you in. But we just this episode, first of all, very emotional for me, very emotional.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then what we capture, mind-boggling. But we've had some great episodes this season. This one just really stands out, and it might be because, again, it is a very personal story to me. But it's great. And I can't wait to share it with the audience. Gabe, thanks for stopping by and filling us in.
Hey, I thank you guys for letting me jump on to try and find some submissions. And I think it's going to be something really, really cool that we're putting together. So, I can't wait to get it all slapped together and get everybody's eyes on this.
Excellent. Gabe Roth, thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We'll put up
and we can talk about Kiss and Ace Frehley. I caught the end of that, and I can tell you my first album I ever bought was a Kiss album, Destroyer, back in the 70s. So,
that was a huge Kiss.
If you're talking fan. Kiss again, have me on.
Oh, I certainly will. We certainly will. Yeah, we just talked about the fact that Ace Frehley was punched in the face by a ghost and had UFOs land on his property.
Was this after or before he was electrocuted?
I didn't know to ask that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, let's find out. There's more digging to be done.
All right. Thanks a lot, Gabe. And we'll include Gabe's email on today's program as well to make it easier for you to communicate. All right, Tim, let's get back to some of these stories, shall we?
Sure.
This messed up Ouija board story is going to send shivers down your spine, Tim.
All right.
For fans of all things paranormal, of course, the Ouija is the ultimate activity. This spooky, spirited game aims to connect mortals with the spirit world via a board of letters and numbers, which is used with a planchette that ghosts from beyond the grave can supposedly control. Though not everyone believes in the magic, Tim, of a Ouija board, those who have been brave and bold enough to give it a go have had some pretty unexplainably spooky experiences. Here's one that we're going to share. Recently, a Reddit user, Lopsided Koala, Tim.
Lopsided Koala.
I'm not here to judge, but Lopsided Koala.
Sure, we all got to have a name, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got to have an online presence, and if Lopsided Koala is the name you're given, you go with it. Yeah. You own it, right? Mm-hmm. So good old Lopsided Koala shared their strange but positive Ouija board experience to the Reddit paranormal subreddit. Lopsided Koala's Ouija board experience happened in the late 1980s when they were in college. One day, when they were messing around with a Ouija board, Lopsided Koala decided to ask the spirit world if their grandmother was alive. My father was raised by an aunt, never really knew his mother, and didn't have any idea who his father was, they explained. Well, according to the Ouija board, Tim, Lopsided Koala's grandma was alive. It even revealed that she lived in Lopsided Koala's home state and hometown. When Lopsided Koala asked what street their grandmother lived on, the board spelled that out as well. After they received all this information from the Ouija board, Lopsided Koala naturally looked up whether there was a Washington Street in their hometown. There was, but Grandma didn't live there, Tim. However, a few years later, Lopsided Koala's dad found his mom. She lived in my home state in the town of Washington, Lopsided Koala explained. It wasn't the street name, it was the town name. How crazy is that? More than 30 years later, Lopsided Koala still has no explanation.
Wow.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah. Though many people were supportive in the comments, Tim, they also warned of the dangers of messing with a Ouija board. That's great to hear something positive come from a Ouija. I won't touch one since something infested my house and made our lives hell. That's what one person said. Wow, very nice story, especially a positive one from a Ouija board. Another surprise person added. Kudos. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, you know what? A demonic GPS service is great.
Dude, Ouija boards are not evil.
No, of course not.
Stop it. You should be ashamed of yourself. The Alien in the Woods, how an unsolved UFO mystery has inspired Amazon Sci-Fi's hit The Vast of Night, which I'm going to do an official review on tomorrow, Tim.
Cool.
The movie The Vast of Night. Watch it tonight, folks. If you haven't seen it already, treat yourselves. It's on Amazon. The Vast of Night. Andrew Patterson's new thriller rooted in a series of strange events that convulsed a small-town America. What was the truth? What was art? One may never know. Extraterrestrial life came to Earth, Tim, from one point of view on June 24th, 1947. A pilot named Kenneth Arnold was flying alone in a small propeller plane across the Cascade Mountains in Washington state. Glancing at Mount Rainier to his left, he spotted several objects high in the air some distance away. They gleamed in the sun and moved at speed. Later, he said that they were saucer-shaped, and he stared at the eerie feeling that came over him when he saw those lights, Tim. After Arnold spoke to the media, the term flying saucer became all the rage, Tim.
The rage, you say?
Yeah. So this story, this movie is kind of based on the strange phenomena that took place at that time. But if you have not yet seen The Vast of Night, it is great. And I love it for many reasons. But I'll go more in depth on that on tomorrow's episode. And tomorrow, Tim, we're going to dive into the world of poltergeist phenomena, a very violent haunting, a very destructive haunting, and try to understand poltergeist in a new way, a new light, and maybe get some information shed regarding that. That's tomorrow on the program, Tim.
You know, if I can just bring up a very random conversation I had with a gentleman at my foot clinic, or at the University of Minnesota.
I'd love to hear a story from your foot clinic, Tim.
I know it doesn't sound real interesting as I present it that way, but I ran into a guy who we started randomly talking, and it turns out that he's a little bit of a UFO file. And as we were talking, he said that he was talking with his father, and his father was a very straight-laced guy, World War II vet, never really said anything about UFOs or the subject or anything, and he is very much so into UFOs. His name's Dan, so I'll say hi to Dan because I kind of turned him on to the show. He said,
it here, folks. Tim was turning a man on.
Oh, God. So as I'm talking to Dan, he said at one point his dad, out of the blue, had said to him, "So you really believe in all that UFO stuff, huh?" And he said, "Yeah." And he had told him a story about how, I believe he had been working out on a farm, and he had seen a saucer. Now, this was 15 years before Roswell. And when really there was no concept of flying saucers or UFOs. But he told him the entire story of this craft he had seen, and it had landed practically right near him. And
wow.
Yeah, and he had actually seen this thing land and then take off. And it was right in front of him. And he said, "Well, Dad, did you ever tell anybody about it?" And he said, "Son, I learned one lesson about seeing a craft like that." He said, "I saw people around me that had actually talked about seeing craft. And that is, the minute you open your mouth about it, people think you're nuts." And so I never said a thing about it. And in fact, he'd only told his son about it that one time, and he never said anything to any relatives or any friends ever about it ever again. It was just very interesting. But yeah, 15 years before Roswell, saw a craft on a farm.
Yeah, it really makes you think. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. Did he see any of the inhabitants or just the craft itself?
No, just the craft itself. But it was very much a lot like the classic craft. You see the classic saucer, like the one you saw on the Skinwalker program, the wobbly, saucer type craft. But yeah, it was
the quintessential 50s kind of topsy-turvy, upside-down saucer.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
So it was an interesting story, but the fact that, that early on, because, there's stories going all the way back to the Bible about craft, but a wheel within a wheel. But to actually hear that, back in the, what would have been early 30s, there's someone working out on a farm, and here comes this craft, and it just lands in a field, and it's like, whoa, it was just, I found it fascinating that just a salt of the earth person is out there working, in a field and sees this craft and then goes, you know what? I have the sense enough to know I can't say anything because society's going to think I'm nuts, but I saw it. I know I'm of sound mind and body, and that's it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. We got another email here. Hi, Dave. My name is Kevin. In 2008, I was 17 going on 18. Me and my best friend Fabian decided we wanted to do something out of the ordinary, something strictly for our own amusement. So we ended up buying a Ouija board. So we've heard the stories of how it's dangerous to play with a Ouija board, but like any freedom-loving teens, we decided to go against what others said. We didn't give an ear to the warning. At that time, I had a beautiful golden retriever that followed me everywhere, and because I didn't have a car at the time, I walked over to his house, and she followed me that night. She stayed outside. Me and my friends started playing with the board, and whoever we were contacting stated very clearly that it didn't like me in particular. I, being a young man, didn't believe any of it. It clearly said that if I stopped playing the game, something very bad was going to happen to me. So I ended up burning the Ouija board outside in the backyard. But that night I just felt this uncomfortable vibe. I felt like something stayed in that room with us. I actually started getting a little frightened. So I fell asleep, and the next day when I woke up, my beautiful golden retriever that followed me everywhere was dead in our front yard. There were no signs of her being struck by a car, and there were no signs of poisoning. It was just like she had a heart attack and fell over. I love that dog very much, and I've had a series of bad things happen since then. I don't know if it's at all related to that experience, but that was my heartbreaking Ouija board experience. Oh, Kevin, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a bummer. Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't know. I don't firmly believe that Ouija boards are evil. But I do think, I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with what we put into it and what we expect. Not that he expected his dog to die, but, if he started running through that vein of fear, did we have some influence on that? Huh. Hi, Dave and Tim. My name is Sean. I'm from Sydney, Australia. Tim.
Uh-oh.
Crikey. Well, no, I've been listening to your podcast for about 4 years. I enjoy them thoroughly. I'm sure he won't after that. The interview with the author about Paul McCartney and the Beatles conspiracies, the 27 Club, was without a doubt my favorite. Although I'm a skeptic, I'm open-minded to the existence of the paranormal and the spirit world. I am born and raised Catholic. My family and I moved into our current house 3 years ago, and something has always felt peculiar, but I could never put my finger on it. Last year, we welcomed our fourth son, Finn, into the world. Well, happy birthday, Finn. Lately, the odd feeling has become worse. I never told my wife this, but she has admitted to lately about having these similar feelings. If I go to my son's room in the middle of the night to comfort him, I have an eerie feeling as if we're not alone in that room. I know this all sounds vague, but it has gotten to the stage where I'm starting to feel uncomfortable in my own house. Would you know anyone in my part of the world I could contact to either set me at ease or help us understand or expel what is going on? Thank you very much for your time, Sean Buchanan. Well, Sean, I sent your info on to a few different people that live in Australia to see if there's somebody that could help you. So hopefully they will reach out to you. But more importantly, be firm. Take a stance. This is your house. Sometimes telling the spirits, you're dead. This is no longer your place. This is our home. And you need to move on, and you cannot harass my children. You cannot bother us. Sometimes in setting those ground rules and those standards, you'll notice that will ease up. If you're Catholic, you might also want to employ the prayer of St. Michael the Archangel. You can find it for free online. Just read it, go from room to room reading that prayer, and it is known to be an extremely powerful prayer in dealing with forces of darkness. So give that a shot as well, and we wish you and your family a lot of luck, and hope that everything stays safe in your home. All right, Tim, our final few stories are here. Jodrell Bank leads international effort which reveals a 157-day cycle in an unusual cosmic radio burst. An investigation into one of the current great mysteries of astronomy has come to the foreground thanks to a 4-year observing campaign conducted at the Jodrell Bank Observatory. Using the long-term monitoring capabilities of the iconic Lovell telescope, Tim, an international team led by Jodrell Bank astronomers has been studying an object known as a repeating fast radio burst, or an FRB, which emits very short-duration bright radio pulses. Using the 32 bursts discovered during the campaign in conjunction with data from previously published observations, the team has discovered that emission from the FRB, known as 121102, follows a cyclic pattern with radio bursts observed in a window lasting approximately 90 days, followed by a silent period of 67 days. The same behavior then repeats every 157 days. This discovery provides an important clue to identifying the origin of these enigmatic fast radio bursts. The presence of a regular sequence in the burst activity could imply that the powerful bursts are linked to the orbital motion of a massive star, a neutron star, or a black hole, Tim. Dr. Rajwade of the University of Manchester, who led the new research, said, "This is an exciting result, as it's only the second system where we believe we can see this modulation in burst activity, detecting a periodic signal, Tim, is what he's getting at here. This periodicity, Tim. I'm going to have people reach out to me to tell me how to say this. It's the word period, then the letter I, then the word city. I can't say the word.
Periodicity?
Periodicity. See, why can you say it? Once you say it, looking at the word, I want to say periodicity. Tim, that's not it. How did you say it?
Periodicity?
Periodicity. It's that D. It's throwing me out. Periodicity. Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with my eyes and my mouth and my brain anymore, Tim. Words don't make no sense. It don't make no sense, Tim.
Don't make no sense.
Nope. But I've been getting a lot of great emails from listeners helping me with words, Tim, which is good. It's a collaborative effort between us and our listeners. I like that they reach out to me to tell me that the word Tim is periodicity, or the word Dave is periodicity, and then I'm like, oh, thank you. And then I look at some of these words and I'm like, oh, why didn't that word make sense to me when I tried to read it the first time?
No idea.
It's weird. Yeah. I don't know. Just weird. Anyway, detecting a periodicity provides an important constraint on the origin of bursts, and the activity cycles could argue against a precessing neutron star. I got that word out. My brain froze again there. Yeah, repeating FRBs could be explained by precession, like a wobbling top of the magnetic axis of a highly magnetized neutron star. But with current data, scientists believe it may be hard to explain a 157-day precession period, given the large magnetic fields expected in these stars. The existence of the FRBs was only discovered as recently as 2007, as they were initially thought to be one-off events related to a cataclysmic event, such as an exploding star. This picture partly changed once FRB 121102, originally discovered with the Arecibo radio telescope on November 2nd, 2012, was seen to repeat in 2016. However, until now, no one recognized that these bursts were in fact organized in a regular pattern, Tim. Aliens, Tim.
Probably, yeah.
Aliens.
Yeah.
They're reaching out to us, man. They're trying to put in an order for Portillo's food.
That could be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our final two stories are here, Tim. Stories I know will excite and enthrall you. Swarms of autonomous insect robots could provide key to future planetary exploration, Tim.
Oh, no.
AI insect robots, Tim. While we're preparing to launch 6-wheeled robotic rover roughly the size of a car to explore Mars, future planetary exploration and science missions could employ much smaller hardware, including potentially swarms of robots the size of insects designed to act in concert with one another autonomously. I can say that word, Tim. Swarming insect-like robots are being developed by a number of different institutions and companies, but a researcher at California State University, Northridge, recently received a sizable Department of Defense grant, specially to fund the development of autonomous robot swarms, Tim, for extraterrestrial applications, as well as for use right here on Earth. Mining, industrial, and search for rescue efforts, Tim. The grant for $539,000 was awarded to the CSUN mechanical. So I can say autonomous, but I can't say mechanical. Tim, words prove to be hard on a daily basis. Got to just get past this next few words, Tim. I'm going to do my best to maintain journalistic integrity whilst doing so.
Okay.
The grant for $539,000 was awarded to CSUN mechanical engineering professor Nut Ho.
Do what? You better not do anything to that Ho.
I am a professional, Tim. Professor Nut Ho, who also directs the NASA Autonomous Research Center for STEAM, spelled STEAMH, Tim. I guess I'm not the only one that has trouble with spelling and words. Focuses on collaborative research efforts between science, technology, entrepreneurship, arts, mathematics, and humanities. Academics, hence the term and the acronym, Tim, STEAM. The goal of the research is to build robotic swarms that can eventually be dropped into an unknown and hostile environment and then figure out how to complete specific tasks they've been given without essentially any additional input. So AI come to life in swarms of mechanical bugs, Tim.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Ultimately, such a swarm would be able to perform complex problem solving to deal with the challenges, including organizing themselves into different sized groups to handle different aspects of the task at hand, like killing the human race, as well as dealing with setbacks, including losing individual members of the swarm through redundancy and repurposing. One way the system will be tested is through the collaborative team of NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory that seeks to find the best solutions for autonomously navigating and mapping underground environments. As for why this approach is even being considered, there's a lot of potential benefits of using a swarm of small rovers versus a single large one. At a very basic level, there's built-in redundancy. If a rover like NASA's Perseverance encounters a fatal error, the mission is essentially done, while a swarm losing individual members shouldn't end the entire mission. Also, a swarm can self-assemble into individual subunits and cover more ground more quickly, accomplishing a number of goals in parallel where a larger rover might have had trouble handling that task in a sequence, Tim. So they're going to unleash swarms of these mechanical AI bugs underground, Tim, here on Earth, Tim.
All I see is this, Dave. All I see is this giant AI swarm being launched upon the populace, and then these little AI mechanical swarm beings flying into your ear and turning off your brain.
Maybe. From the land to the sky, Tim. Tim's final nightmare may be realized after all. The war zone. A manned fighter is to face an autonomous drone next year in a sci-fi movie-like showdown. The planned test is part of a project to develop an artificial intelligence drone that could change the face of air combat, Tim.
I knew it.
The Air Force is hopping Are actually not hopping, they're hoping to.
What
is going on here?
They could be hopping, too.
Yeah. The Air Force is hoping to pit an autonomous drone equipped with an artificial intelligence-driven flight control system against a fighter jet with a human pilot in a little over a year. Doom, 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 doom.
Dear God, what have we become?
Doom, doom, doom. The service has described this effort in the past as a big moonshot that could revolutionize air-to-air combat in ways that have so far been limited to the realm of fiction, at least as far as we know. Air Force Lieutenant General Jack Shanahan, head of the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, revealed that the Air Force had set the goal of holding this face-off in July of 2021 during a remote event that the Air Force Association's Mitchell Institute for Aerospace Studies held on June 4th, 2020. The Pentagon established that the JAIC in 2018 to serve as a central point of focus for AI developments and related activities across the U.S. military. Doom, 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 doom. Shanahan did not offer any details about the design of the unmanned aircraft that is supposed to take part in this future aerial duel or specifics about its planned capabilities. He did say that Air Force Research Laboratories Autonomy Capability Team 3, or Act 3, led by Steve Rogers, Tim. Don't worry, Captain America's at the helm, was still in charge of the effort, which Inside Defense first reported the existence of in May 2018. AFRL created Act 3 that year to focus on AI developments. Regardless, the general concept of a fully autonomous unmanned combat air vehicle capable of air-to-air combat as well as air-to-ground strikes, Tim,
God.
Doom, 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 hold great potential to fundamentally change the character of aerial warfare, something the war zone has explored in great depth in the past. So they're going to pit Maverick, Tim, Tom Cruise's character, against an autonomous fighting drone to see who is the better killer.
The drone.
Doom, 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 doom.
General Jack, if you're within the sound of my voice, just listen to me real. General Jack, listen to me. Herbie the Robot kills Captain America every time. I don't know if you know that or not, but read a damn comic book. That's all I got to say about that.
This position is only held by Tim Dennis and does not reflect the rest of us here at Darkness Radio.
Read a comic.
I thought you'd call out the rest of us. It's only you and me. You, me, and all the other sounds in my head. Huh.
I don't know. I mean, is General Jack too busy building stuff in his evil lab to not know that now we're going to have little insect AI and having them strike from above? And before we know it, the whole damn entire planet's going to be overrun. My phone's talking to me nonstop at random times. Dave, we're surrounded. We're surrounded. I can't control my Roomba. The thing runs around in circles and it doesn't even clean the entire house. It just cleans one little circle just over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's under my bed. So it's circling me under my bed. I have to stay on top of my bed. I can't move anywhere because it's got me trapped on top of my bed.
It's time now for me to go. I've got to rock Tim back to sleep and tell him sweet, sweet stories. We hope that you enjoyed today's special edition of Darkness Radio Supernatural News ParaShare. We'll be back again tomorrow if I can calm Tim down right here on Darkness Radio.